What's going on, everyone? Gilman with Lavalti Stocks, back with our daily Apple update video where we take a look at how Apple stock traded today, some key support and resistance levels that we're looking at moving into the future, and based on that, what we think Apple stock is going to do moving down the line. So if you enjoy videos like this, hit that like button down below, subscribe to my channel, and comment down below what your thoughts on Apple are, and I'd love to chat with you guys down there. We'll also take a quick look at the Apple car announcement that came out yesterday and the reason behind we've kind of seen this crazy run happening late yesterday after hours in pre-market today, as well as the run we had today. So I'll hit record and we will get right into it. So as we could see, Apple was up about $3.65 for the day, which is almost another 3% gain, down a little after hours, but still more than a 2.5% gain of the day. Compare that with 0.5% gain on NASDAQ. The Dow was actually down 207 points, which is about 0.69%, and then S&P was also down 0.56, 56 cents, which is about 0.15%, a little bit more down after hours as well. So let's take a look at Apple, and I'll quickly cover this. So essentially the reason why Apple ran yesterday, to quickly take a look at this, I made a video on this yesterday as well if you want to check that out for more information. But essentially, Apple had been testing a self-driving car since 2014, called it Project Titan, and it was kind of an on and off type of thing. But some rumors came out that they are working on a full Apple branded car aimed at consumers. Couple things with that: they're working on a battery that really radically redesigns how batteries work. It's a monocell battery, which again, I'm not super nerdy in this type of stuff. If you are, let us know down in the comment section what it really means. But what I gather from it is that it's essentially going to be able to charge faster and go longer, right? That's all we need to know. Better, faster charging and for a longer range. So good and good. And then it's going to use LiDAR sensors to autonomously drive. That's another thing that Apple is working on. Now, it is not clear whether they're developing their own car, whether they're developing a software they can then kind of give to another company to run. So a lot of that is still up in the air, but the fact that Apple is kind of entering the space is very exciting for Apple. As we all know, their iPhone sales have kind of plateaued for the past couple of years. So if they were to enter another kind of segment, it really helps them kind of stratify. Not to say Apple can, produce a car, because it's very time intensive, takes a lot of research and all that, but also based on kind of that, there were a couple stocks, Velodyne and LiDAR, Velodyne and Laser, that I talked about yesterday in my video, that could see a potential push as well if Apple's kind of plans stay on track and Apple decides to use third party for some of those sensors. Going back to the stock analysis for the day, what do we see? Let's take a look at the daily chart, and I'll quickly cover kind of what I see on the charts here, and then we'll kind of take a look at what the future levels of support and resistance are. So right out of the gate, right, as we see a little bit of a sell-off, what we saw was a drop from kind of the 132s to the mid 130s. We pushed up, made a new high, 134.41, and then for the second half, and then for the period after that, right, from kind of 10 o'clock to 11:40ish, again went from 134 to 129. Saw a little bit of a sell-off. That's a good thing in my opinion, because I don't like it when a stock goes up, 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 up. I like to see it go down, have a little bit of a sell-off, establish a support point, and move up from there. To me, that's just more stable, my personal style of investment. Not to say that I don't like seeing stocks just go up, 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 but there's always the risk of that pullback. So the fact that we went down to 129.66, which is a pretty important number, as we'll take a look at in a little bit. What I didn't like here though is we broke VWAP, but as you can see, the second half of the day, we quickly recaptured VWAP. This time we're not able to make it all the way back to kind of the 134s, made it into kind of the 133s, and then we again fell below VWAP, didn't have enough strength to break through, and then closed at 131.88, down about 38 cents after hours. So not too bad of a day for Apple, right? Another 2.85% gain makes Apple a $2.26 trillion company. So it's definitely moving in the right direction. Let's take a look at the hourly chart, and I'll talk about why that number that we looked at was kind of important in my opinion, at least. And someone said yesterday, anyone can read a chart after the fact. Sure, I 100% agree with you there, but what reading a chart allows us to do is find support and resistance levels. So when Apple is dropping today, right, we're taking a look at the AEMA, which is pretty far away. We're taking a look at the moving averages, which is pretty far away. We could take a look at price action from just last week, right? Which, if we go over here, right, to this level right here, draw a line, right? We're talking about the high that we set. Let's take a look at the daily chart too, because it'll be easier to see there. I'm talking about the high that we set in the 129.58. If you saw my videos, you knew that this is a high that we were reaching for yesterday. Now, when I made the video, it was not covering the aftermarket action that happened. So this 129.58 was still a point that we hadn't reached yet. Once we reach a resistance point, right, if we're above the resistance point, then that becomes a support. So if we were to come down, we should bounce from that level, which is exactly what happened today, right? So, I mean, that to me it shows you kind of the value of technical analysis, of being able to read a chart and kind of, you know, not necessarily for sure know what's going to happen, but have an idea of what could happen once a stock approaches a particular level. Anyway, getting back to this, as we can see, right, we dropped all the way to 129.58, and the high we made that day was 129.57 was the high. We dropped all the way down to 129.66, less than a 10-cent difference in, you know, that high. So I personally think that this is kind of the next resistance point that I'm looking at, based on it being a resistance last week and it being a support this week. So I think it should hold up as good support. I don't know if I just said support or resistance, but it should hold up as good support moving into the future. Now let's take a look at our daily chart and see what we see, right? So as you can see, Apple was trading kind of in some of these, and I know I have a lot of lines on this, but we've been doing this analysis daily for a while. So feel free to ignore a lot of the bottom lines, and I'll kind of point out which ones we are looking at and trying to see. So first and foremost, we've got that 129.58. I wouldn't be surprised if we go down to revisit that level to establish that as support, or maybe even just flat 130 as support. And then we've got 126.65 from a support level perspective. Now let's take a look at the EMAs. So we've got the AEMA coming in at 127.48 as well. I think typically for Apple that level holds up as really good support. And then let's take a look at the moving average on the 4-hour chart, which we've got the 20 coming in at 128.82, right? So we've got this line 129.58, 128.82, and then if I throw the EMA back on, we've got 127.48. So we've got one in 129s, then 128s, then 127s. I don't know which one of those is going to hold up. Maybe none of them do. Maybe the first one does. But what I can tell you is those are the levels that I'm personally watching out for. Like today, I was watching out for this 129.58 level because that was the first level. That's what I'll be watching tomorrow as well. If we break that, I'm watching that 50-day moving average in the 128.80s. Then I'm watching the AEMA in the 127s to see where it found support. When it finds support and has a reversal, that's when, I mean, if you're looking to get long, if you're looking to do a short call or whatever it is you're trying to play, you know, wouldn't be a bad idea to kind of wait for that bounce, wait for that reversal, and then enter on that. And then on the upside, right, obviously we've got the high of today to kind of go at. We're at 131.88. The high of today was 134.41. And then that takes us all the way back to the highest we've been since September, where we set a high of 137.98. Now, I thought we see that early 2021, but the way this is going, we could see it sooner than that. I would not be surprised if, you know, we see a little bit of a pullback, you know, kind of like this day when we closed, and then we saw a little bit of a small candle and then a couple red candles. So every time we move up, right, a little bit of a pullback is fine, a little bit of a pullback is normal. This time is a little bit different though, just because we have some great news pushing it up, and I think as we get developments on that, good or bad, could really move the stock in either direction. So we could see that, we could see a revisit of this 134s and then that 138, but would not surprise me if we see a little bit of a downward push, validate one of these supports level that we sort of discussed before we see that push back up, right? I'm long-term bullish on Apple. I think long-term it goes up from here. Short-term though, I play for the volatility and the intraday movements, and that's, you know, this is exactly what I'm sharing with you guys, is exactly what I have on my charts. I use this and think or swim, but this is exactly what I have on my charts as I make some of those decisions. So let me know down in the comment section what you guys are looking at or how you're playing Apple. I know a lot of you guys had calls yesterday, and I'd love to hear how those went for you guys. Hopefully really well with the movement we had yesterday after hours and today pre-market. But let me know down in the comment section. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day, and until next time.